Good morning, folks. This is Pamela back on her video channel for Sesame Street Classics. I want to take a few minutes out of my day, even though I'm not feeling very well due to women problems. I thought I'd get on here for a few minutes and do like a mini tribute to Bob McGrath. As we all know, he has died on December 4th of 2022 from a stroke, which is a shock to a lot of us Sesame Seeds that grew up with him from 1969 up until the time he left the show and coming back for the 50th anniversary. How big is Sesame Workshop, huh? I want to take a few minutes and talk about that while I'm on here. I think what HBO and Sesame Workshop did to this man and his fellow co-workers is beyond shameful. And I'm here on this platform to give older Sesame Street fans a platform where we could talk about the show, what its greatest moments was, and the greatest downfall of the show was. And to be honest, I think the downfall started when Jim Henson died. Because without Jim, I don't think Bob McGrath would have done the show. Because Jim knew the size, the vision, and the scope that the show needed. That's why it worked so well. And once Bob was on board, who knows, you know? Then you have Sonia Manzano, Roscoe Orman that would come on later, Emilio Delgado, and so on and so forth. And you have a magical cast of characters. Bob was always my favorite neighbor. He seemed to be calm and understanding and caring. And basically, the people behind the show told Bob, just be yourself. But the problem I have with that is he plays Bob Johnson, a guy from Indiana. Why not have him as Bob McGrath from Ottawa, Illinois, in real life? I don't know. But Bob McGrath, I think, was the magic secret of that show. Because a lot of kids just were drawn to him. He was like a magnet. Kids knew that he was a calming force, a caring force, and kids need that. Kids need that. And Roscoe Orman even said in an interview, which is on YouTube, by the way, that Bob McGrath was a force that could not be contained. And I believe that. Since this is an adult channel, it took a lot of balls for him to drop a teen pop career to take on the role of Bob Johnson of Sesame Street. Let's think about that for a minute. He went from singing in stadiums over in Japan to coming home to the U.S. and after some coaxing from a couple of people, he went down to where Sesame Street was starting production in terms of animated segments and short films. And he met this guy, Jim Henson. Jim Henson helped seal the deal. Bob McGrath went in that office not knowing whether he wanted to be a part of the show. Because at first, when somebody asked him, hey, you want to be a part of this new experiment that the public broadcasting service is hinging all their bets on? And at first, Bob is like, not in the slightest. So, yeah. The second time, he's probably thinking, oh man, I'll go down and meet this guy Jim and see what's going on. So he goes down there, meets Jim, sees some of the work that has already been completed, and he's like, I'm game for this. I'm going to go and do this show. No matter what happens, I'm going to do the best I can to make it good. And you know something? He made it not only good, he made it great. People like Will Lee knew that, who took Bob under his wing and gave him acting tips. You know, and the people of Sesame Street back in my day, they were a team that cared. Each character got equal camera time. Though we didn't see Bob every day on Sesame Street, that kind of adds to the reality of an actual street. So, yeah. And then hearing about the unceremonious firing of Bob McGrath, Roscoe Orman, and Emilio Delgado. And as we all know, Sonia Manzano retired. Gina, the girl who played Gina on the show, left. And Mr. Hanford, Mr. Smurl, passed away from cancer. So, yeah. And we recently lost Carol Spinney. And now we've lost Bob McGrath in 2022, December 4th. Which is a shock. But you know, in truth, when I heard about Emilio Delgado's death, I was like, wow, it caught me in mid-step. Because I asked this thing that Amazon uses so you could look up information. And I asked it twice. And Emilio's name came up twice. And I thought, wow, now Emilio's gone. And I'm thinking, rather morbidly, if you think about it, I thought Bob is going to be next. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. I think because I had such a close connection to him as a kid, you kind of know these things. Because, let's see, the woman who played Susan, well, she's 84. She's long since retired. Her nom de guerre that she goes by now is Dr. Loretta Long. And as Roscoe Orman said, Bob McGrath is a force. There's no denying that. He was a force, all right. He had a beautiful voice, and he should have been able to share it with not just kids' audiences, but adult radio and television. I think we got gypped in a lot of ways, because he's done some incredible songs like Danny Boy and Boy from Indiana, just to name two. I would possibly do side 2 of this record, but I really don't care much for Walk Down the Street. I think Boy from Indiana encapsulates everything that is great about Bob McGrath. Let's be honest here. You have an Irish tenor who puts me to sleep most nights. I play See You Tomorrow on Amazon Music through my TV. I set my timer, and I snuggle up under my covers, and I fall asleep. And they're thinking, you're listening to a kid's song? And I said, nobody is too old for a soft song to go to sleep to at night. I grew up listening to people like Gordon Lightfoot and Al Stewart, just to name two. Even Fleetwood Mac. Who the hell hasn't grown up with them, huh? But Bob McGrath is the original OG of Sesame Street. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people don't know that when the show first went on the air in the pilot, Bob was the first voice kids heard when they entered the domain of a place called 123 Sesame Street, and inhabitants like Oscar the Grouch, Big Bird, Bob, Susan, Gordon, Louise, Olivia, Mr. Hanford, Alan, you name it, it's there. So, yeah. And I think HBO Max's biggest mistake was not renewing the contracts of Bob McGrath, Roscoe Orman, and Emilio Delgado. Because those three gave their careers, gave their fucking careers to Sesame Street. Roscoe Orman was a movie actor. I'll have to find the name of the movie that he was in, but let's just say it's not for young ears to hear. But yeah, Roscoe Orman could do it all. Emilio Delgado was also such an actor. He could do it all. Bob McGrath was a stage singer. You know, he was on Sing Along with Mitch in the early to mid 60s. Then when the Japanese audiences picked up on that show, it sent him into a world of where girls could rip his clothes off at any second. But you know, he was a happily married man who went over to Japan. His wife and probably his kids would go with him. And the Japanese know their stuff over there. They know their stuff over there. They know what's good. They loved Sing Along with Mitch. They loved shows like Greatest American Hero, another favorite of mine. In fact, I have the Japan version of those shows. So, yeah. And yeah, that show, GAH, has all the cover tunes intact, not like what you see on Amazon Video in the first season. So, yeah. But Bob McGrath, back to Bob McGrath. He was a handsome man, a warm and loving man. Granted, you know, I may paint him as perfect, but some of the things he's done, you know, he's helped kids with Telemiracle. But I often wonder, did he do anything for the Muscular Dystrophy Association or the United Cerebral Palsy organizations here in the States? I don't know. I don't know. But I think Bob McGrath should have gotten massive props for his contributions to Sesame Street. We're talking massive Grammys, maybe footprints and handprints on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, maybe an induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even though he's not considered a rock and roller. He's more of like an adult contemporary artist. You know, kind of like Lawrence Welk kind of stuff. Now, I think Bob McGrath should have gotten the props and respect, especially from Sesame Workshop, whom he dedicated the majority of his career to. But then we hear that HBO Max did not want to renew contracts, but yet he would still be affiliated with the organization Sesame Workshop. And in truth, I think there was no miscommunication between HBO, Sesame Workshop, and the cast of Sesame Street. They were outwardly fired. As in, here's your pink slip, now get out. That's what corporate greed does. That's what corporate greed does. I've seen it firsthand with my brother. If you want to hear about that, go back to my first stream about what my channel is about and some of my feelings about Bob McGrath. And I think it sucks major league donkey balls that Bob McGrath was let go the way that he was. The guy should have a plaque on the studio. In fact, people like Will Lee, Roscoe Orman, any cast members that were left should have their names on that building at Kaufman Astoria. But as you could probably tell, I get a little angry about this and one other thing that happened between Bob and myself. But we'll talk about that in another video. But I want to dedicate this to Bob McGrath, or in this case, the character Bob Johnson, because Bob Johnson, the character, is from Indiana, who has a brother by the name of Minneapolis, which is a blatant ripoff of Indiana Jones. You get the connection? Bob McGrath, aka Bob Johnson, is from Indiana, has a brother by the name of Minneapolis, and is a blatant ripoff of Indiana Jones. His brother is an explorer who acts like Indiana Jones. And I wonder how in the world the show didn't catch hell for that. But let's get on with the music, shall we? I've taken up almost 20 minutes of your time, but now you know how passionate I am about Bob and Bob Johnson. And let's just say, this guy has pulled me out of some thick stuff when I was a kid. Because, like Sonia Manzano's life, not all days were so sunny. I think the most heartbreaking thing is kids will now only know Bob through video. Video and old records like one of the sides I'm going to share with you now. The Boy from Indiana is a consummate tribute. It is like a glowing candle in the light where the world can be so dark anymore. You know, kids like me with disabilities, we don't really get much of an opportunity in life. But Bob Johnson, the character, is like, hey, I care. I really do. I'm here. I'll teach you music. I'll teach you how to be a good person. I'll teach you your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but I'm here to show you that I care. I'll be your friend. I'll be by your side. I'll catch you when you fall. You know, and that's what I want to believe. But as I've said in my other video, something happened between Bob and myself that kind of shattered that image. But for those that do want to know, I had a correspondence with Bob for about 3 years back in the 90s, back when Sing Me a Story came out, which I think is a okay album, but I think his Straight Song CD is the best one that he's put out. But I had a good conversation with him for like 3 years. In fact, one time I found out he was coming to Columbus, my home city in Ohio, at one of these auto shows. And I had almost a full-blown argument with my mother over this. She's like, if you want to go see him, go see him. Who am I to stop you? You're fully grown. Go see him. And we kept up a correspondence for about 3 years. I met him like twice. Once at the fair, and the other time at that auto show. But, I love this guy so much. I invited him to my birthday party one year. Because my twin brother and I were going to turn 20-something at the time. And they sent me a card. Bob and Ann signed it. But again, she said, he's too busy to make your birthday, but thank you for the invitation. So, I wouldn't have cared if he never wrote me another word. I just like having somebody to talk to. It's good to have family to talk to, but it's good to make a connection with somebody that you grow up and admire. But when, I think it was Anne who said, you can keep writing, but he's very busy. You'll have to accept that as part of reality. That's kind of hurtful. She could have said, you can keep on writing, but Bob is very busy. He appreciates your letters. He appreciates your cards. I know it gives you joy to send him a letter or an occasional drawing or, drawing or a picture. So, yeah. That's all she had to say. But after that letter, my mom had to read it. Because by the end, I was just like really knocked mute. My mom said, well, you could still write. And I said, well, I don't know. I said, I just want to go in my room, curl up on my bed and be alone, okay? And my mom said, okay. Put the letters in my little keep box, which I think I lost. It's kind of a good thing because it kind of dredges up those sad memories. And I guess I'll always be a little angry with him. I know I shouldn't be, but when things like that happen, it kind of blows the trust. I have a hard time trusting people. And if you want to hear about some of the stuff I've gone through in my life, come over to my Music and News Keeping It Real channel. I'll post it on my channel here. If you want to join me over there, you better buckle in because some of the stuff I've been through, you'd be thinking, she's a strong woman to still be alive. You'd probably be thinking, some of the things she's been through, I would have been gone by now. So, yeah, I have major trust issues. Always had since I was a baby. My parents would take me to get my picture taken as a baby, and I would be crying in most of my pictures. So, yeah. Maybe it was from the trauma of my premature birth. I don't know. But I do have trust issues. But Bob Johnson, he's a big hero to me. Because he treated Zoe with gentleness and respect. He treated Grover with gentleness and respect. Alice Snuffleupagus with gentleness and respect. Barkley most astutely with gentleness and respect. So, yeah, that is Bob Johnson in a nutshell. So for this presentation, I want to play for you the best song off of this 45. It's called Boy from Indiana. But I don't know if I'm going to do Walk Down the Street. We'll probably save that for a later date. Possibly towards Christmas. I don't know. But I got other 45s that I want to put up for other channels in this megalopolis that they call YouTube. So I want to dedicate this to Bob Johnson, the neighbor on Sesame Street, and to Bob McGrath, who brought that character to life. But like Telly, I wish the world had more people like Bob. More people need to be like Bob. Loving, caring, respectful. You know, Bob Johnson is the model person that we would want to be. So I'm hoping he's wherever he is with Carol Spinney, laughing it up. But I also want him to think about how kids need a good authority figure to look up to. And you have to be gentle with them. Especially those that have been through trauma like me. So, yeah. But I want to go ahead and play this song for you now. It's called Boy from Indiana. And I know this won't be looking too good because I'm kind of sitting funny in my chair here. You'll have to forgive the mess in my living room, but this video is for Bob McGrath, aka Robert Emmett McGrath, aka Bob Johnson, from Sesame Street and Sing Along with Mitch and some of the other shows that he's been on to showcase his talent. Rest in peace, Robert Emmett McGrath, 1932 to 2022. So, yeah. 90 years old. Not bad. I know this is late for his 91st birthday, but I thought I would film this and get it posted to YouTube after July the 4th. Have a good holiday, everybody. I hope you had a good one. And I will talk at you again soon, starting in September or October. All right. Let me get this on, and we will get this up. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. And let's fight for the memory of Bob McGrath. Let's see if we can get not just all of his Sesame music back out on vinyl, or CD, or MP3, but I want to see everything released here in the U.S. That includes his Japan recordings. People need to hear those. So, here we go, ladies and gents. I know this is going to be a rough cut, and it's going to have to be that way because I'm not very good at making these videos. Let's do this for Bob McGrath. We love you and miss you. You are the magic secret of Sesame Street. You were the first voice kids heard when the show aired in 1969. And when they fired you in 2017, Sesame Street died to me that day. Rest in peace, Bob McGrath. I hope you're happy and safe wherever you are, hanging out with Will Lee, Jim Henson, and any other members of the Sesame Street cast and crew that are up there with you. Rest in peace, Bob. We love you. Now, let's take a moment of silence and remember Robert Emmett McGrath, the greatest Irish singer ever.
Glisten on hills as green as emeralds in the grass. A boy from Indiana time to listen to the wind blowing past. Now the boy from Indiana's traveled miles of country miles to see the things he wanted so to see. But the boy from Indiana stops along the way and smiles with his own memory. A boy from Indiana, he could touch the river flow and feel a silver fish inside his hand. A boy from Indiana, he could run where he was going, across the wide meadowland. Now the boy from Indiana's traveled miles of country miles to see the things he wanted so to see. But the boy from Indiana stops along the way and smiles with his own memory. He learned to whistle like a whippoorwill, to hear things when the woods were deep and still, to smell the hay and feel the autumn chill, and know he'd want to go beyond those round and rolling Indiana hills. A boy from Indiana, he could watch the raindrops glisten on hills as green as emeralds in the grass. A boy from Indiana, he could take the time to listen to the wind blowing
Damn, I miss that voice. I really, really miss that voice. It just freaking kills me. You have to forgive the mess in the living room, but yeah. I haven't exactly felt very well this past week, so yeah. But there you have it. One of the greatest voices Sesame Street has ever had. We're not counting Rosemary Clooney because she was just a guest on that show. She's got a great voice, but as a resident of Sesame Street, Bob had the best voice out of all of them. You know, I think he and Olivia had the best voices out of all of them. So, yeah. You know, he took the show on condition that he wouldn't be called Bobby. But to some of us, he is Bobby because he's so youthful. I better get the heck off of here. I'm covered in tears. At least my eye sockets are, anyway. That's the effect he has on me. Kind of like Robin Gibb of the Bee Gees. So, yeah. Very few voices touch people like Robin Gibb and Bob McGrath. Bob McGrath was the original OG of Sesame Street. And as Roscoe Orman said, Bob McGrath was a real force. And I wholeheartedly agree. To Bob's family, I'm sorry for your loss. My deepest, deepest condolences. And to his kids, you're lucky to have had a father that could sing you to sleep like that every night. I hope that this little discussion / tribute does justice to Bob Johnson and brings a little bit of understanding about why this particular fan, myself, respected Bob so much and was a little hurt by the end of our contacts. So, yeah. I shouldn't have internalized all that pain, but at that time I didn't know what to do. My mom knew how much I looked up to Bob, and I think my father did too, but mostly my mother, because she knew I didn't trust a lot of people. And I have the music. I want to remember Bob as the kindly music teacher who went out of his way to help his friends when they needed help and comfort them at times of great pain, like when Mr. Hooper died. Not the Elmo version of the death of a loved one, although I do like little Jessie in that one. Let's just say I like Elmo's dad more than I like Elmo, so yeah. But we're not going to go into that here. But Bob McGrath was the magic secret ingredient along with Jim Henson, because both of those guys knew the size and scope of what was needed to make Sesame Street what it was today. And the reason why I say what it was is that after the unceremonious firing of Bob McGrath, Emilio Delgado, and Roscoe Orman, the show is now officially dead to me. Even though Alan and the other young man are still with the show, I will refuse to watch any current episodes of Sesame Street. I think what happened at the end of Bob's career was a rather shady thing to do and a rather shitty thing to do. Yeah, you heard me right. Shady and shitty. Because my brother went through something similar at his job that he worked at since 1985 up until the beginning of the pandemic. So, yeah, that's over 35 years. So, think about it. Or, in this case, the big corporate giant doesn't think about anything. They think about where they could get the most money, which defeats the purpose of Sesame Street in a lot of ways. Because Sesame Street was originally created for kids that don't have the fancy schmancy cable. You know? They were trying to help kids in impoverished areas or low to middle income families. And Bob McGrath did just that. He gave up a teen pop career so he could help our kids have a future and to be a future. And now Bob McGrath is gone. Emilio Delgado is gone. Will Lee has been gone since 1982. Mr. Hanford's been gone for several years. Who else has died? Jim Henson in 1990. Richard Hunt around 1992 or 93. So, yeah, we lost a lot of good people. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little presentation. I just wanted to get on here and talk about Bob for a few minutes. Play one of the best songs on this 45. If you want me to play the other side, leave a comment below in the video. If not, I'll just leave the one song up. But I don't know if I'm going to do the Sir Duke record, which I'll show you for just a second. It came last night as I was socked out in bed. Let's see. Here it is on my walker. Here is Sesame Street 45 RPM record from Bob Sings. And it has Sir Duke and Muskrat Love. Hope you guys like looking at the record cover, but I don't think I'm going to open it. It's in like a plastic sheathing. I don't want to take it out. That's why it looks so glossy. But here he is with one little kid sitting there laughing. And my big finger. And a little girl sitting next to him. So, yeah. This is my latest grab. And if this works out, I'll do some more videos. Only next time, I think I'll try it on my phone. I don't like doing them on my phone because they put the little black bars up at the side. So, yeah. I hope you all have a good day. Let us remember Robert Emmett McGrath on a place called Sesame Street Children's Television Workshop. Yeah. The show is brought on from Children's Television Workshop originally. That is the original OG, so, yeah. Rest in peace, Bob. We miss that beautiful face. I miss that fabulous voice. So, I hope you guys had a good holiday, and I'll get back on sometime in September or October to do video vlogs. But you should expect to see some musical tributes to Bob and some street scenes being uploaded after July 4th. So, be safe, take care of each other, and most of all, love one another. We need that. We need that. That's what Bob practiced on the show. That's what Big Bird practiced on the show. But we need to practice it in real life. Rest in peace, Robert Emmett McGrath. We all love you and miss you. And shame on Sesame Workshop and or HBO Max for letting him go, along with Roscoe Orman and Emilio Delgado. Hopefully, he and Emilio are knocking back some drinks and having a grand old time and cracking jokes with Carol Spinney. So, yeah. Have a good rest of your week, the good rest of your year, and I'll get back on here in a couple of weeks, and we will talk then. All right, gang. I'm out of here. Sorry about the mess, but this is Pamela Parrish, a.k.a. Sesame Street Classic Scenes, signing out. Bye-bye.